Welcome to Politics Personified, an IG Live series sponsored by the Personifi Group. Our featured guest is Ryan Cox, founding director of Gwinnett Chatt Outreach and state representative candidate for Georgia's 111th district. Let's get started. All right, so Ryan Cox, for those of you who are not familiar with him, he is the founding director of Gwinnett Chatt Outreach. And Ryan Cox has been a community leader behind the scenes, yet a community leader here in the Gwinnett County area, which is a suburb in Atlanta. And he is now running for state representative in District 111. So I'm going to let Ryan explain to us more about Gwinnett Chatt Outreach and just share a little bit about himself in general. And again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Please tag your friends. Share this live discussion. This is going to be good. Ryan is a plethora of information. So please make sure that you guys continue to stay logged in. So Ryan, tell us more about Gwinnett Chatt Outreach.
Okay, so it's a kind of a mentoring organization. So we do a little bit of mentor, but we try to go into a more deeper level to find out what's the root causes of things that are going on in our communities. And rather than being reactive, I'm trying to be proactive with the organization. So what we work with teenagers from across the county, and we work with local businesses where we bring them into the business itself, and we do a behind the scenes tour. That way they get a good chance of seeing what business is like. So rather than everybody focusing on this, like, okay, I'm growing up in this area, I want to make it out. Okay, I got to play basketball, or I got to play NFL, I got to go to the NFL, or I need to be some type of entertainer. That's fine and well if that's something you've been working your entire life from, but the chances a lot of times of those dreams become a reality as far as being very successful at it is very slim. So what I try to do is show them, hey, there's other jobs. So if you want to work in sports, there's other jobs that are out there besides being an athlete. So we will work with local sports organizations. So with like the Gladiators, with the Georgia Swarm, and we get a chance to see them one-on-one and learn about the different positions that are within sports. So they're not just focused on being athletes. So if they want to be in broadcasting, or if they want to be in marketing or do social media or be charge of game day, they get a chance to see firsthand from the people who are already doing that. And spend a couple hours in their shoes to see what it's like day to day. So that's the main thing we focus on. But we also take them out on college tours as well. And so we want to expose them to different opportunities post high school. So whether it be a trade school, a technical college, or four-year university, any of those options as well. That way they get a more holistic view of everything that's available to them, and not just where a lot of people say, oh, they should just focus on trade school. So we're trying to do a whole thing. And so even with our program, it's 100% free. There's no financial commitment from any of the families that participate, which includes T-shirts that we give out to everybody, or hoodies, depending on the weather. So I know yesterday you saw some of them hoodies, some of them in T-shirts. So we don't charge them for that. I'm picking them up myself, and we're from their homes. We don't charge for the transportation. Even while we're out at the events itself, we're taking care of their meals while they're there too. And that's at no cost. So we don't ask for anything in return. So we're trying to build something where it's not a case of the have and the have-nots, where we have the kids who already have the resources and can afford to be in a program like so we don't discriminate against anybody. For the kids that have the means to do it, they're more than welcome. But most of the kids that we work with, they don't have the means, so they don't have the transportation, or they don't have the money. So even if I might have asked some, say, hey, make sure you bring, let's say, $15, $20 for food. Some might have it, some may not. So we just leave that that option. We make it so there's no option for that. So nobody knows who's on what level. Everybody's getting everything taken care of. And that way we can start addressing the needs of the community on a smaller scale until we get to we can start doing more on a bigger scale later on down the line.
Okay. So very good information. What age group? Is it just men, women? What age group? And just a little bit more about the qualifications.
Yeah, so it's the age group is 13 to 18, even though we have one college student who's been in the program since day one. And
Okay.
he joined college. He got into college about 8 months ago. And so he's kind of my helper. Make sure he helps me call everybody and make sure that everybody is, let them know, hey, we're on our way and things like that. But I talked to the parents all individually along with the kids ahead of time to let them know more about the program. So this way we can screen kids and see if they're a right fit, also if their parents are right fit, because we also, even though the program is free, we want them to have a sense of responsibility. So that means if you're going to come to an event, making sure that you're there, making sure that you're participating. You're not there just being taking up space. We want people in the program that want to be in the program, because otherwise we're not getting any benefit out of it.
Awesome. Okay. And how long has Gwinnett Chatt Outreach been around?
We've been around. This is just over 3 years now. So we have time to still keep growing.
Absolutely. Awesome. So now, Ryan, I always have to ask, tell us a story. What's your vision behind, you explain what the program offers, but what was the vision behind starting Gwinnett Chatt Outreach? And then I have to ask, Chatt Outreach, like the name, I've been so intrigued, when I type it and tag you guys, I'm like, where did that come from? So what is that about?
Okay, so the chat for Gwinnett Chatt is kind of like a homage to my hometown. So I was in Chattanooga,
Okay.
here in Atlanta area now. It'll be 15 years in August. So it's just kind of a way for me to always remember my hometown. So that's where a lot of people think it's Chattahoochee or something like that, but no, it's for Chattanooga.
Chattanooga. Okay, that is very interesting. I'm so glad you shared that because I was like, it's two T's. What does it stand for?
Yeah, so a lot of people who are from Chattanooga, we just refer to it as Chat.
Oh, really? Okay, didn't know that.
Chat Town. So that's what people back there that's what they call it.
Chat Town. Okay, I learned something new. I hope the viewers learn something new as well. So very interesting. All right, awesome. All right, so you've been around for over 3 years, growing, flourishing. I know you have a fundraiser coming up. Want to talk about that as well. But just want to go back again to the mission of Gwinnett Chatt Outreach. So when did you get this vision, Ryan? Like, was it 10 years ago and then you finally were able to manifest it 3 years ago? When did this all start for you?
It actually started longer than that. It actually started back when I was in high school.
Oh, wow.
So growing up in Chattanooga, I went to a school called Soddy Daisy High School. And so at this school, it was a culture shock to me because I grew up in East Chattanooga. And while there, you grow up and you're used to your environment that you're around. And so when I got to high school, one of the things I noticed was, one was the amount of people that drove to school. Like I didn't know anybody who had I maybe knew two people in my area that had a car in high school. But also too, I remember having like a career day in high school. And what I realized was I had noticed that a lot of the parents there in their jobs, I'm like, I've never heard of these jobs before. So who was is the town is built around Sequoia nuclear plant. So most of the people who go to that school, their parents either work at that nuclear plant, they supply items to that nuclear plant, whatever. But what I started noticing was the houses, like when I would ride the bus, seeing the house there, seeing the cars, seeing everything, and then even seeing the whole outlook of everything. And it just something that stuck with me and said, well, if I want to live in a house like this, or if I want to drive this type of car, this is the type of job that I need to have.
Okay.
And so it's something that stuck with me from the time I was 14 years old, that I figured if I want to be successful and I want to do that, these are the type of jobs. But fast forward to when I started the organization, it came about a lot of what was happening in our in the Black communities, when we started seeing a lot of violence on us from the police. And so I wanted to do something about it. So when I started the organization, I didn't start off helping kids. What happened was I started off almost like an organizer, like doing like community organizing. So I started off by having meet and greets with police departments, and I got a lot of pushback. I'm not going. So I reached out to a ton of police departments, and only one police department actually would even agree to do a meet and greet in Snellville Police. So we're a bakery out in Snellville, and we had the police there, and we invited the community out to come and get to know their policemen who work in their community, because we're on the same page. The police needs to know the community needs to know the police. And so from there, then I did a town hall. Once again, reached out to a lot of police departments. Town hall where we can get everybody together, also get everybody in the same room, and then this way we can ask questions from the police chief or the police in general, questions that we don't always get a chance to ask, especially when you're not being pulled over or anything. It's just questions in a safe environment. So that's what I was trying to do with that. And so we started doing that, and then it started, and then COVID kind of hit. And I continue with the whole theme with, like, because in my heart, I feel I'm an activist. I'm an organizer, and that's what I like to do. I start pivoting more and thinking not just with the police, but also the community as a whole. So I said, well, what can I do to stop violence in general, but also what can I do to help the community and get rid of this cycle of poverty? And this was when I started working, and I started kind of pivoting a little bit and started working with teens. And so one was another generic nonprofit that just, here's the problem, we're going to fix it. So what I wanted to do is like, okay, what all can we do to make sure that this problem isn't a problem, and then we can have future success down the line? So with my organization, not only do we do the college tours, we do outreach. We do real outreach out in the community, whether it's feeding people or helping single moms out with baby supply items, or helping grandparents out with raising grandkids, when giving out personal hygiene kits, giving out coats, gloves, things like that. But what I wanted to do is be more of a figure out the root cause. And so our program, so when we do college tours, so another thing we do, any of the kids that are in the program, we're paying for up to 5 of their college application fees. So we're also, one of the things we're going to be doing is getting everybody who needs laptops for school coming up this year. We're going to be buying everybody laptops. We're also going to be making sure they have all of their school supplies. So not like the book bags and no, it's the literal list that is, okay, 11th grade, this is what you need. So that started doing that last year with everybody who's on that, who, if you're going to, most of them are going to 11th grade. So we made sure that everybody who needed it, we got every supply that they need. So that way it's not something that their parents are having problems with doing. And so I've been doing one. So I mean, I can go on and on, but yeah, but
I know. I appreciate it, Ryan, and I'm sure other people appreciate this as well because there are so many nonprofit organizations and they have different missions, but they're all needed because you have different communities, you have different entities, you have different target audience. So your mission is to make sure that these children do not go without, these young adults, whether young men, young women, especially that you even extended into the college years. That's absolutely commendable, absolutely outstanding and astounding. And speaking of the resources that you need so that you can continue to help young adults, especially pivot to college, let's switch channels and talk about this fundraiser that you have coming up specifically to gain the resources that you need to continue to impact the community. So can you talk to us about this upcoming fundraiser?
Yeah, so this fundraiser, I'm very excited about it. We've been planning it now since after the last elections in November. So right after that, so in November is when we started planning it. So it's next week, June 18th. But we're going to be doing a take on the show Dancing with the Stars. So we're going to do a Gwinnett County version of it. We're calling it Dancing Stars of Gwinnett. And so what I had to do is go into my my network,
Okay.
act about everybody that I know. So we reached out to everybody who would possibly want to take part in this to make it successful, to get some well-known Gwinnetians involved in this. So my whole organization is focused on Gwinnett. So we wanted to make sure that everybody we had is a member of Gwinnett County. But we have one person who's not a Gwinnett person, but she's very well known. So that's Park Cannon. So Park Cannon, the state representative. So was the person who was arrested knocking on the door. Speaking of another dancer, I see JT Wu just joined in. One of our dancers. We have Dr. Therese Johnson from the school board. We have BT Parker, who's going to be dancing. We have my board member, everybody knows Catherine. Drake.
Yeah, hey, Kat.
Hey, JT. So she's dancing. We also have Helen Kim, who's a very great attorney, very great person. So she's going to be dancing. We have one of the Lawrenceville police officer, Officer Barnes. He's going to be dancing. We have a good friend of mine, Samuel Richmond, who's a certified financial planner here in Gwinnett. Him and his wife are going to be dancing. As far as
is that the couple that I saw on the flyer? Okay, right. All right.
But as far as judges, we got everybody from Representative Dewey McClain. We got the pretty much state senator-elect Nabila Islam, great friend of mine. We have former Mrs. Georgia, Lucretia Saba Burton. I'm trying to think who else we have. Lawrenceville City Councilman Austin Thompson. Also Marlene Taylor Crawford, the Lawrenceville City Councilwoman. She's going to be, so we got like a big who's who. We have a couple of guest speakers that's going to be out as well, some people that you all know. So we have pretty much everybody's eye doctor, Dr. Adam Young. So everybody goes to him. So he's going to be one of our speakers. We actually have one of the young men in the program. His mom is going to be one of our speakers as well. Right. Well, we're going to be doing it at the Lawrenceville Arts Center, June 18th. 6 to 9. It is a black tie affair, so just getting that word out. Make sure you dress up in your finest that day.
Okay.
As hors d'oeuvres there, we're gonna have an auction going on. It's just gonna be a wonderful event. It's the first hour. It's gonna be a cocktail hour, so get a chance for everybody to come network, come take your picture. Everything. Yeah. So it's gonna be.
All right, so now this specific fundraiser, because I know is this your first one or this is like?
This is my first one.
Oh, this is your first one, okay. Now, people always want to know where's the money going, right? We're going to switch gears about your state rep position. So even with nonprofits, where's the money going? So you're raising this money for an excellent cause. Do you have any particular resources in mind that you would like to utilize these funds that you raised from Dancing with the Stars?
Yes, well, the goal, hopefully, is to be able to raise enough money to buy a passenger van. So a lot of you all who don't know me, so I'm literally going to pick up every kid in our program in my personal vehicle. And so that
Okay.
a lot of times we're limited to about 5 or 6 kids because of the transportation issues. So we're trying to buy about a 12 to 15 seat passenger van. So all of the money, um, if we get enough, will go towards that. Otherwise, it's going to go to making sure that our program stays free. Like I said, we don't charge for. I just bought over 100 new shirts, so like that costs money. Gas costs the gas. Um,
Woo!
I spent filling up my truck yesterday. So that stuff like that, the food, I'll spend about I got 5 or 6 teenage boys that are coming out with me, so they can easily eat up $150 every time we go out to eat, depending on where we're going. So
Yeah.
and so the program is free, so it's going to cover everything that we're already doing and more. So we have college tours getting ready to come up. We're getting ready to. I'm in a process of finalizing a trip tour. We're going to do a behind the scenes tour with the Georgia Aquarium. So
Okay.
things like this. A couple of things I'm going to be announcing at the fundraiser itself. So you got to come in person to see that. So, but
Yeah.
money is staying within the program. It's to keep our mission and make sure that this program stays free.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, we have to talk about politics. It would not be politics personified without us talking about it. So, Ryan, you are running for state representative in District 111. And I think what you shared with me, that is in Walton County.
It's parts of Gwinnett,
Oh,
so
perfect.
Eula, which is where I live, and then the other part of it is the two main areas. There's two main areas. It's Decula and Gwinnett, but it's also the Walton County side of Loganville. And so
Okay. So that's why you were asking me about that. Okay, gotcha. That this daggone Loganville split between Walton and Gwinnett can be very complicated. So I appreciate you clarifying that. But you are running for state representative, and your name will be on the ballot in November, correct?
correct.
Okay. So we just have a few minutes. So I want to talk specifically about your vision, your story. Why are you running for state representative? You've been working behind the scene as a community activist, as a community leader, just so many other entities. Why elected official this time?
Yeah, it's funny because I always tell everybody I never intended on running. It
Okay.
wasn't my intention to run. I was recruited to run a couple years ago, and I ultimately decided against it. But when they redrew the district lines, my goal was like, hey, let's see who's out there running. Let me get behind the person who's running, and I'll help in whatever way that I can. Well, the week of qualifying, which was like the second week of March or something like that,
Mhm.
I'm looking, and I didn't even know what district I was in because I stayed pretty engaged, so they didn't release it until that week of. So Monday came around, nobody jumped in. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, nobody came in around. So I got on the phone and called a couple of people that I knew that were already running or running in the past, and I said, "Hey, there's nobody in this race. I'm thinking about doing it because I can't. It's a new district. I said I can't let this race go unopposed.
Right.
I'm gonna do it because I'm like I couldn't sleep. I can't sleep with myself if I let this go unopposed. So that's how I ended up doing it because nobody else did. I was like, if you look at any of my social media a while back, I posted a picture with me in the Capitol and my qualifying paperwork. And I literally just put, why not me? Because I'm like, nobody else is doing it. Might as well be me. So,
Absolutely. That's commendable because, some people don't want to get involved. They want to just stay behind the scenes and, are making an impact. But like you stated, it's a seat there, it's vacant, but it's needed. It's a position that's available, and someone needs to take charge, someone needs to lead, because again, we cannot grow as a community, we can't evolve, we can't change unless we have, respective people in those seats, in those positions. So I commend you for that because it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of sacrifice and just a lot of involvement in front. in front of the camera, now no longer behind the scenes, in front of the camera to do so. So tell us a little bit about your platform. What are you running towards? What's your goal with becoming a state representative? What are your plans?
My number one goal is voting rights, because
Okay.
you can't do anything else until we get people registered to vote and making sure that people are voting. So what I'm focusing on, and I'll call it out again, I'll call out Walton County while I'm on here, because when we just got through with early voting last month, and everything I'm saying now is something that I'm not ashamed of, and I'll put it on my social media. Why is Walton County during early voting? Why is early voting from 9 to 5 on Monday through Friday? So you're putting up the polls once the people are on their way to work or already at work. And then you're closing the polls down before 5 o'clock. That's before people are getting home from work. That's when you have some areas that have um, drop boxes, some don't. And then you move them from outside to inside. When you do things where you can't, let's say you have an elderly person or you have a person that has issues where they can't get to the polling place, where you can't take their ballots for them to the drop boxes.
Right.
So these are issues. When I went on there and the Secretary of State site to find a sample ballot, and then
Okay.
I don't have Adobe Reader, so I can't even access that. Then I go to my iPad. I can literally, I mean, luckily I have it on my computer. So it's these type of little things, or when they had changed the when you go to renew your license and they had that box unchecked, so the amount of people who are registered to vote drop significantly. So things like that, because people on the other side always say, "Oh, well, people don't want to have a voter ID. You don't want to have an ID to go vote." No, like no, it goes beyond that. It's the others that are involved too. And so that's my number one issue. Another issue that I'm passionate about is expanding Medicaid. So
Okay.
well, especially out in rural areas. So I grew up in Chattanooga, right on the border. Chattanooga's right on the Georgia border. So you
Okay.
have out there Fort Oglethorpe. It's Fort Oglethorpe, Ringo, that whole area right there. There used to be a hospital there. Because they didn't expand Medicaid, it was the number one job in that area, in that region. They didn't expand Medicaid. So those people, that hospital ended up closing. So now they have to drive another 20, 30 minutes or cross state lines to get there. And so it doesn't matter which side you're on, you need healthcare. And if you don't have the money to pay for it,
Right.
you need to reassess your priorities when you're voting and look at what people are telling you. So that's another one of my biggest issues, because we gotta get that under control. We also
Absolutely.
go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you. Go ahead, Ryan. You're fine.
So the other thing too, especially with me running a nonprofit, we have to look at what are we going to do to make sure that we have resources for kids out here. We have to stop defunding education. And then every now and then when there's an election time, we want to give teachers or state employees a raise. We need to fully fund education so that way there's no reason teachers should be having to fundraise to buy supplies for their school.
Yeah.
To invest in that, we need to invest more into nonprofits. We also need to stop um, with contracts, these no bid contracts within the state. And I see it a lot where there's a lot of companies, a lot of organizations who never apply for any funding, but they're the only ones who are getting funding. And so it leaves out smaller companies, nonprofits, things like that. It keeps you from being able to get a slice of everything, because the companies, or the bigger companies, or the companies that are donating to their favorite politician, they're getting all of the resources. And so you don't even have a chance to compete when you start seeing, be like, and I've experienced this personally where I went to apply for a grant and they were saying that, oh, there's no process for the grant, but they've already awarded it. It's like, oh, you just have to write a proposal and we may or may not grant it. Now, meanwhile, there's other companies out here that never applied, but that money should be given to, and it's
Wow.
done at the state level too. So these are the type of things we need to cut out. We got to cut out this corruption. We got to, and so those are like some of the big things that I'm very passionate about, and I like to see something done about.
Okay, awesome. Well, we absolutely appreciate all of this insight. I just want to do a couple of plugs for you. Please make sure to visit the Gwinnett Chatt Outreach website. Please make sure that you donate to this fundraiser, this current fundraiser, the first fundraiser. Again, the resources are to go towards a passenger van so that he can utilize it to bring more youth, more awareness of their community, of businesses and so forth. And even outside of the van, just to be able to still continue to expose young adults to businesses, organizations behind the scenes, just making sure that they have the equity and inclusion that is needed to be a successful adult. So please make sure to visit their website. Please follow them on all social media platforms. It's not too late to purchase your ticket. I had to give myself a plug. I purchased a ticket today. I'll be there next Saturday. I'm excited about it. Had to move some things around, but I will be in the building. So I'm excited. I'll definitely make sure I'll share my experience with you guys on next week after the event. But it is next Saturday, June 18th. So that's Father's Day weekend, but it's Saturday, June 18th at 6 p.m. And then also, please make sure to follow Ryan Cox for Georgia. That's Ryan Cox, Forga, on Instagram. He's on LinkedIn. He's on Facebook. Make sure you support this up and rising elected official. He's already been a community leader. He's already a community activist. So now he's just saying, hey, I'm going to take my leadership to the next level and run for political office. And I steer away a lot of times from the term political because you as voters, whether you're local in Georgia and Gwinnett or so forth, you are the constituents that get to vote him in, that get to elect him. So he's running to be an elected official by you, governed by you, essentially. So please make sure to follow him and check him out. And again, Ryan, I appreciate you joining us tonight. I learned a lot about outreach, Gwinnett Chatt Outreach, more about your story for running for state representative. That is amazing. It's commendable that you took the step, you took the leap to put your name in a hat. You didn't have to do it. It could still be a vacant spot. It happens all the time. So I absolutely applaud you for that. Let's see. Kat said, thank you, Ryan, for running and all the great work you are doing. Yes, absolutely. So we are going to end this episode tonight. But again, Ryan, I appreciate you. And thank you those who were able to join us on tonight. And we'll see you next time. And again, this is Politics Personified, presented by the Personifi Group. Have a good night, everyone.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.